So IndyCar had a race at Mid-Ohio this past weekend, a race that pretty much lived up to the track's name, Mid. But not a bad day, just nothing too exciting, except for the end of the race. That was really good. Gonna get into that a little bit later, but pretty much just an Alex Palou-dominated day. And getting into qualifying, that's pretty much what it was. Is Alex Palou got another pole on the season, just having a dominant year. Christian Lundgaard was in second. Kiffin Simpson, really good qualifying in third. He's just getting better and better. Nolan Siegel also past the midpoint season is getting better, especially in qualifying. Got fourth for this, Colton Herta in fifth, and Louis Foster, who's just also been really good in qualifying, got sixth for this. So just getting better and better throughout the season. It's what you like to see. And Team Penske for this, I don't know what the hell's going on. None of them made it into the Fast 12. Horrible day today, so we're going to get into that a little bit later. But Penske is just in a weird free fall right now and just really odd. It's going to be interesting to see how the race played out because Mid-Ohio is a hard track to pass on, especially with the hybrids and the cars being just heavy as shit. We saw it last year, we saw it this year, harder to pass. So the race was pretty much going to be won in the pits and with strategy in this race, which is pretty much what we saw. Pretty chaotic start though, as we had a caution already in lap number one as Joseph Newgarden pretty much just loses it and collects Gran and Devlin DiFrancesco, who just had nowhere to go in this. That luck for Joseph Newgarden right now is just absolutely terrible. So already chaotic start to the day. And you had a little bit of a fight from Christian Lundgaard and others, but pretty much it was just a Palou-dominated day for a while. It looked like it was going to be another win for him. In the middle of this race, I thought we had a really funny moment that I was like, what the fuck? Santino Ferrucci and Connor Daly getting into it a little bit, kind of battling between each other, and then Santino just getting pissed off and pushing Connor right into the grass, into the dirt. Got a penalty for that, obviously. Not a great look for Santino Ferrucci, someone especially last week who I've been praising for being better, and then just absolutely does like a vintage Santino move. So you can always count on him to bring some sort of entertainment, either good or bad. So yeah, this is pretty much just a Palou-dominated day for a while, and it was just interesting to see as you saw Scott Dixon move up in this race, and you were like, oh shit, he might do it with this two-stop strategy, which is just classic Scott Dixon. By the way, this is what he's been doing forever, but people like to forget about it because of the recent dominance of Alex Palou. But Scott Dixon was doing this before Palou was. I mean, it's pretty much just kind of the same thing. So it was pretty much going to be a fight between those two at the end of the race, which is what it ended up being. But before we could get to that, we also had a second caution in this race, lap 31, as Christian Rasmussen just runs out of fuel out of turn 8. So sucks for him. But once we kind of got towards the end of this race, Alex Palou was leading for a while, had a great pit stop. Scott Dixon was trying to kind of make the jump on him, but Alex Palou able to come out in the pits in first, running with about 18 to go, and it just looked like Palou was just going to coast to another victory. But what was interesting is if you looked at kind of different parts of this race with Palou, for some reason coming out of the exit of some of these turns, I feel like it was the back end of the car kind of slipping a little bit, just slightly, trying to push the pace as hard as he can because he had to keep that pace between him and Scott Dixon. The great thing about Scott Dixon in this race was the ability for him to kind of have the pace of the people on the three-stop strategy while also running a two-stop strategy, which is just absolutely insane. Managing the tires, managing the fuel, he's an absolute expert on that. So that was crazy to see, honestly, able to keep pace with Palou, even though they're on completely different strategies, and Dixon needed to fuel save and kind of handle the tires a little bit better. But keeping that gap to Palou, and the issue for Palou was it was a little too close for comfort, where he's clearly trying to push, and then eventually the thing for Palou is he's absolutely perfect, but today is the day where you start to see the cracks a little bit, and like, holy shit, this dude's mortal. Slips. The car slips a little bit coming out of the turn. Scott Dixon gets the jump on him, moves into first. I jumped out of my seat. It was absolutely insane. I was like, finally, someone else is going to win besides Kyle Kirkwood and Alex Palou. That is great. Great little kind of battle to the end there, which is what we needed for a race that pretty much didn't have a lot of action in it, I feel like. And Scott Dixon gets a win on the season. We finally have another winner that's not Kyle Kirkwood or Alex Palou. Great race for Scott Dixon, just absolute expert on the strategy. Great for that team over there. And Chip Ganassi in general is just getting shit done. They are obviously, clearly the best team in this sport right now. It is no longer Team Penske. Just going over the results of this race, starting in the back. In 27th, Joseph Newgarden. 26th, Will Power after having an engine issue earlier in this race. Christian Rasmussen in 25th. Graham Rahal in 25th. 24th, Scott McLaughlin in 23rd after having a tire issue later in the race, Jacob Abel in 22nd, Robert Schwartzman in 21st, Devlin DeFrancesco in 20th, Connor Daly in 19th, Stingray Robb in 18th, David Malukas in 17th, Santino Ferrucci in 16th after the penalty, Alexander Rossi in 15th, Louis Foster in 14th, Callum Milot in 13th, Marcus Ericsson in 12th, Nolan Siegel in 11th, decent day for Nolan. Kiffin Simpson, after the drive-through penalty, able to finish in 10th, so got a top 10 for him. Rinus VeeKay in 9th, Kyle Kirkwood in 8th, decent day for Kyle Kirkwood. Marcus Armstrong in 7th, Felix Rosenquist in 6th, Pato O'Ward in 5th, Colton Herta in 4th, Christian Lundgaard in 3rd, Alex Blow in 2nd, and your winner, Scott Dixon, in 1st. Some personal shout-outs from this race. First goes to the tire guy that got his foot ran over and just kept going. Absolute dog. But that guy is just fucking crazy. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Kiffin Simpson coming out of the pits accidentally makes contact with the back foot of this tire changer for, I believe it was Rinus VeeKay's crew. And it's insane because this guy just does not stop, does not hesitate, does not look, does not move or react at all until after the fact, which is just absolutely crazy when you get your foot ran over by a tire. I mean, it wasn't absolutely brutal, but you can clearly see that he tapped him a little bit, and that's gotta fucking hurt. So shout out to him for keeping it going. Gets the job done first, great to see. Scott Dixon, obviously, great strategy on the day, won the race, started in 9th. Christian Lundgaard also getting on the podium, got to celebrate that. He did start in 2nd, but still getting another podium on the season, great to see. Pato O'Ward, who was the worst qualifier for McLaren, finished in 5th after starting at 15th, so honestly a great race for him. Felix Rosenquist, who had the best car on the weekend, I'd say, with that Black Sabbath livery. That shit was absolutely insane. I love that. Started out in 16th, but able to move up to 6th. Marcus Armstrong, another top 10 on the season. Marcus Armstrong has just been collecting top 10s, just needs to get a podium. Started out in 8th and got 7th. And Rinus VeeKay, another top 10 on the season. This guy is just sneaky good. We need to get him into a better car. Started in 26th and got 9th. And to get into the final thoughts, Mid-Ohio, I thought it wasn't a bad day, but it wasn't necessarily an amazing race either. Like I said earlier in the video, it lived up to the track's name, Mid. I hate using that term for that, but it's pretty much the only way to describe it. But decent day, honestly, overall. If it wasn't for that battle at the end, though, we wouldn't have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. We would probably just talk about Alex Blow coasting to another victory, which is great. I mean, still got 2nd, so I mean, when this guy doesn't win, he still gets a podium, which is crazy. It just doesn't stop. Yeah, pretty decent day. We have the Iowa doubleheader next week, which last year wasn't great with the repave, so hoping it's a bit better race-wise this year. Next week, I feel like is going to be a big factor in what Team Penske is looking like going forward. This is a track that they're usually pretty dominant at, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can kind of keep that going forward with all the bad luck they've had this season, especially for someone like Joseph Newgarden, who is really good at Iowa. That's usually who I would pick for a race win for Iowa. But, you know, just with how things have been going lately with that team, I don't know. I mean, is Chevy even going to win a race? We still haven't seen a Chevy win it this season, so are we going to see that next week? I don't know. So, yeah, predictions for Iowa next weekend. This gets kind of tricky with the doubleheader, but if I had to pick some people, just off the top of my head, if you were like, I need a winner right now, Saturday, I'm going to go with Pato O'Ward, and Sunday, I'm going to go with Joseph Newgarden. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear anyone's thoughts down below about the past weekend, any possible predictions for next week for Iowa, or just for the races going down the line, and possibly are we going to see anyone build a gap to Pelot right now, or is Pelot pretty much just coasting with this championship? Let me know. Yeah, so hope you all are enjoying the IndyCar season so far. I've been loving it. Really excited that it's a race week once again, and we got a fun doubleheader weekend coming up. So yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your day, and take it easy.